Welcome to the Global Warwatch Network. Today, we're talking about a major development that's seriously shaking up the military landscape in the Middle East, potentially redrawing the lines of power. If you appreciate clear, no-nonsense analysis on defense, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update.
So here's the deal. Saudi Arabia is on the brink of getting its hands on a powerful new weapons system. But the real twist here, the really interesting part, isn't just the missile itself, it's who they're buying it from. It's not the US, it's not Russia, and it's not China. So, what on earth pushed the kingdom to look somewhere completely different, and why is this deal such a big deal?
To really get why Saudi Arabia felt they needed this weapon so badly, we have to rewind the clock a bit. We need to look at one single event that exposed a massive, critical vulnerability right at the heart of their defenses.
And that moment? It was September 2019. A series of coordinated drone and cruise missile attacks struck two of the most important places in the entire country, the Abqaiq and Karai's oil facilities. Now, this wasn't just some minor military incident. This was a strategic shockwave that rattled the entire kingdom.
And the damage was staggering. The attacks, in one fell swoop, slashed the country's oil production by half, 50%. Just think about that for a second. A single, well-planned strike took half of their most vital economic resource completely offline. It was the loudest wake-up call imaginable.
You know, what this attack really did was expose a painful truth. Adversaries could hit them and hit them hard, deep inside their own territory, causing catastrophic damage. In Saudi Arabia, they really didn't have a credible way to strike back at the source. They had plenty of shields, sure, but they were missing a long-range spear.
So this glaring vulnerability sent Riyadh on an urgent mission to find that spear, to find a weapon that could act as a real deterrent. But as they quickly found out, their traditional allies weren't exactly lining up to help them out.
So of course, they went to their usual suppliers first. They asked the US for its famous Tomahawk missile. The answer? A hard no, blocked by something called the Missile Technology Control Regime, which is basically an international agreement to stop these kinds of weapons from spreading. Okay, so then they turned to Russia for their Kalibr system. That didn't work out either. Two doors, both slammed shut.
So with the usual suspects off the table, Saudi Arabia had to think outside the box. And they turned to a really unexpected partner, South Korea. And South Korea had something very capable and very secretive to offer, the Hyunmoo 3 cruise missile system.
Now, the Hyunmoo 3 isn't just one missile, it's really a family of them, and each version gets more and more serious. The A and B variants are already significant, but the real headliner here is the Hyunmoo 3C. We are talking about a reported range of 1,500 kilometers, maybe even stretching out to 3,000. In that region, that kind of reach is an absolute game changer. And just to give you some perspective on what a massive leap this is, look at this. The systems Saudi Arabia has right now, they max out at less than 300 kilometers. Getting the Hyunmoo 3 isn't just an upgrade, it is a complete and total transformation of their strategic reach.
And listen, it's not just about how far this thing can fly. The Hyunmoo 3 is a seriously sophisticated piece of hardware. It flies really low to the ground to stay under the radar, and it uses advanced guidance systems to be incredibly precise. Most importantly, it allows Saudi Arabia to hold targets at risk from a very safe distance without ever having to send a pilot and an expensive aircraft into dangerous, hostile airspace.
But this deal is about so much more than just filling a military need. It's actually deeply connected to Saudi Arabia's huge, ambitious national plan for the future. And that plan is called Saudi Vision 2030. If you're not familiar, it's the kingdom's blueprint to completely remake their country. And a massive part of that vision is to move away from just buying foreign technology and to start building it themselves.
And here's the magic number for their defense sector. The goal is to localize 50% of all military spending. They want half of every single dollar spent on defense to be spent inside the kingdom, creating jobs and building up their own local talent. And this is why the South Korean deal is so strategic for them. See, unlike potential deals with the US or Russia, this one reportedly includes things like technology transfer and maybe even setting up local assembly lines. It's a direct path to building their own high-tech defense industry, which is a core promise of Vision 2030.
So you've got a new missile, a new industrial partner. What does all this mean for the rest of the Middle East? Well, the consequences, the ripple effects, are going to be significant.
If this deal goes through, Saudi Arabia becomes the very first nation in the region to have a long-range cruise missile from an Asian country.
This immediately alters the military balance with its main rival, Iran. That, in turn, could push Tehran to speed up its own missile programs. And you can bet that neighbors like the UAE and Egypt are watching this very closely, and probably thinking about making similar calls themselves.
Somebody put it perfectly when they said this is like gaining a powerful, high-precision sniper rifle to complement their existing shields and sidearms. For years, Saudi Arabia's posture has been defensive. The Hyunmoo 3 gives them a credible, long-range offensive tool that lets them deter threats from far, far away.
What we are watching unfold is a fundamental shift in the power dynamics of the region. The old rules of who buys what weapons from whom are being completely rewritten as we speak.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Will this new deterrent capability lead to a more stable balance of power, or will it just spark a new, more dangerous arms race in an already tense region? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for your time. If you found this explainer valuable, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the Global Warwatch Network. And be sure to join us on our social media channels. The links are right there in the description.